During Character Quest 2.0, we've covered a lot of different characters. A lot of different characters from other things that we've covered before. We talked about the Grand Duke of Owls from Rockadoodle, Oscar Proud from the Proud Family, Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, and Mitsuki from Kappa Mikey. So instead of going with the theme of revisiting old properties that we've already reviewed, for the final week of Character Quest 2.0, we're gonna take a look at a character from something that we wanted to cover, but we couldn't find the right way to do it. Being that everyone has already kind of covered this already in their own distinct way, so we're having a hard time finding a way to stand out. That being my favorite Disney film of all time, Meet the Robinsons. Now I bet that's making a lot of you scratch your heads going, huh? Or screaming at your computer shouting,
no, that's wrong.
But no, it's my favorite, and no one's ever gonna change my mind. I love everything, the actors, the characters, the animation, the story, and especially the lesson. I think the lesson of never giving up is done very well in Meet the Robinsons. Yes, it's a little preachy, yes, it's kinda hand-fisted, but you know what? I don't care. The movie is so emotional and handles it so well that I'm willing to overlook it. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize is that for every obvious in-your-face aspect of keep moving forward that Meet the Robinsons has, they have some subtle aspects as well. That leads us directly to one of the film's best aspects, the villain, the bowler hat guy. By the way, this is gonna include some major Meet the Robinsons spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie already, what are you even doing here? Mike Yagubian, aka the bowler hat guy, aka Robbie Rotten in animated form, is the main villain of the film who tries to make sure that Lewis, the soon-to-be world's greatest inventor, never reaches the future that he was destined to have. Thereby, well, he doesn't really know that, but more on that later. Like I said, the whole point of the Meet the Robinsons film is keep moving forward. It's all about perseverance. You can't let failure stop you. It's not an end result. Failure is only the end when you let it be the end. Otherwise, it's just a little detour in your route to success. The bowler hat guy does not feel the same way. See, he represents the people that let failure control their lives. Take, for example, his own failure, ruining the baseball game when he was a kid. Yeah, that's something really insignificant and in the grand scheme of things wouldn't really matter, but to him, this is life-ending. He can't cope with this, he never learns how. As soon as he messes up, he quits, never to try again. He could have talent, he could have a destiny, but who cares? He messed up that one time when he was a kid, so I guess he sucks at everything forever. Now I know I sound like I'm being a little overdramatic here, or that the film is playing this up for comedy, but, well, yes, Mike Yagubian's reaction to all this is exaggerated. This is something that we go through whenever we mess up. Say you're gonna start with a new job and you mess up, does that mean you're gonna be doomed to fail? Does that mean that you're absolutely worthless? No, you gotta keep moving forward, learn from your mistakes, and make sure that they don't happen again. That's the only way you can get good. Do you think that all of these athletes you see on TV or all these singers you hear on the radio? Wow, radio, I sound old. Do you think that they were as great as they are now right off the bat? No, it took time and effort. Which is something that the bowler hat guy used to appreciate. When he was young, he loved baseball and wanted to give it his all. But once he failed that one Little League game, that's it. That's the end. And this failure ended up giving him a terrible life. Because he couldn't stop focusing on it, he constantly brought it up during adoption interviews, causing him to never have a family of his own. And when the orphanage shut down, he stayed behind, literally rotting in his own failure. And you know what the saddest part is? This is entirely his fault. All he needed to do was take a step back, look at his surroundings, and assess his situation. As we can see here in this scene, people don't really care what he did. In fact, a lot of them either don't know or have entirely forgotten. Take a look here.
Hey Goob, what's up? Cool binder.
Hey Goob, wanna come over to my house today?
They all hated me.
Once again, exaggeration for a joke, but we tend to miss the obvious when we're so blinded by our failures. People are naturally self-centered. You, me, Steve, that piece of toast, Andrew Johnson, all of us, no exceptions. This is why, more often than not, we tend to take our failures the hardest. We're worried about what it's going to do to us, or how it's going to affect our future, or hey, even our present. But if you don't want to end up like the bowler hat guy, you can't let that happen. Get in touch with some people, listen to their feedback, and once again, keep moving forward. And then, of course, bowler hat guy does what everybody does when they mess up. They try to find somebody else to blame. and he goes and blames Lewis. Yes, Lewis did have a hand in this mess up. He kept Goob up all night, causing him to fall asleep during the game, and then setting this whole chain of effects into motion. But once again, he's not entirely to blame. That's also Goob, because he refused to move on. Instead of finding a new path in life, the bowler hat guy decided to devote his entire existence to ruining the life of one person. All because he was seemingly incapable of accepting his own responsibilities. And it got worse and worse and worse over time, to the point where his failure and lust for revenge became his only identity. That's all he was. We can see here when his hat Doris, who's technically speaking the real main villain of the movie, gets defeated, all of the things that she's done in this post-apocalyptic future have been entirely erased. They never happened, because Doris herself never happened. Doris was one of the big things fueling the bowler hat guy's revenge. I mean, it goes without saying that she was a big part of him. She was the bowler hat in Bowler Hat Guy. Without her, he'd just be Guy, and that's not nearly as intimidating, now is it? I mean, unless you have eyebrows like this guy, but let's not go there. All this time, he wanted revenge, but suddenly he realizes that it was a waste. Not only would ruining Lewis's life ruin everybody else's, but the revenge was kind of pointless to begin with. And because he doesn't have that anymore, he doesn't know who he is or what he's doing. He has here on his list of plans that's it. He's just gonna kind of wander aimlessly, looking for a purpose. It's gotten to the point where moving forward isn't an option for him. There's no forward to move to. This is the exact situation that he thought he was in when he was a kid. But now, it's real. And when he realizes it, it's much, much too late. Luckily, he has a good future in the end. He's woken up by Lewis and then gets adopted, and who knows what happens. Maybe he goes on to be in the MLB, maybe he finds another purpose, but all that we know is that he's not going to become this guy. Yes, it's good that Goob ended up having a good future, but the bowler hat guy as we knew him never did. The last we see of the bowler hat guy that we've come to know and love, he's just there, existing for the sake of existing. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's one of the saddest existences that there is, because there are people like this. They realize that their entire revenge goal or quest to overcome their failures that nobody really cares about, they realize that that was all for nothing. So they gotta find a new purpose, but how can they? It's been so long, they don't really know what to do or where to go. And I think deep down, the bowler hat guy knew this. Behind all of his stupidity, slow-mindedness, and crazy things he says, there's a guy that knows that all he has to offer is his plan for revenge. He has no idea what the future is gonna be like because he's not programmed to think that way. All he's conditioned himself to think about is the past. So when the future does get here, he's completely surprised, because he thought that once he got rid of Lewis, everything would be okay. He didn't really know how it was gonna be okay or what specific things would make it okay, but suddenly everything would just be okay. Not some kind of rundown dystopia where everything is ruled by an evil robotic bowler hat. And you wanna know something scary? This was almost Lewis's life. Think back to early in the film when he had that peanut butter and jelly gun. The gun got jammed, thereby ruining his adoption interview and making the gun a complete failure. Lewis runs up to the roof to sulk and is later comforted by Mildred, the woman who runs the orphanage. She's the one who convinces him to go back out there, give it another shot, don't stop believing, you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That is what it's all about after all, or so I've heard. But if Mildred didn't go up to comfort Lewis, if she didn't give him that pep talk, if she didn't accidentally give him the idea to make that memory scanner, this could have been Lewis. He could have sulked in his failures, finally giving up and then becoming a bowler hat guy, but one with no purpose. All he would do is spend day after day, night after night sitting up there in that abandoned orphanage wondering, why am I so useless? Why do I have no talent? How come I don't have a purpose like everybody else? People, wake up. Don't let your failures stop you. They are something that you can learn from, and they're something you can move on from. But they are not something you can let control your life. The bowler hat guy may be a cartoon character. He may be silly and wacky and overall harmless to others, but he's harmful to himself. And he's something that could happen to you. I know that my audience tends to skew a little bit younger. And also, I have a lot of people in the audience that are creative types. people that want to make their own shows, their own music, their own whatever. And you don't even have to be a creative type to listen to this message. You can be literally anybody. It's not too late for you. It's never too late. Just because people tell you that you can't, or just because you tell yourself you can't, doesn't mean that you're gonna be a failure. The only one who can control that is you. Your destiny is in your hands, so please, use it wisely. And if you do, your future might turn out bright, after all. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? What do you think of the bowler hat guy? Do you agree with my points? Do you have any experience with moving on from failure / letting failure control you? Comment below and let me know, because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Real quick here, I'd like to thank our Patreon executive producers, Reziel, Jay, Leaf Razor, and Sophie Burgers. If you would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to our Patreon, which has a link in the description below. Did you guys like Character Quest? I sure did. And guess what? It's not the end. Character Quest is going to come back with a very different iteration, but that's not going to be for a while now. We're going to be returning to regular programming next week, and oh boy, is this one going to be wild. So strap in, folks. I'll see you guys next time.